Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. Please subscribe and follow me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, like The Real Sports Talk at Facebook.com/The Real Sports Talk. Manti T'eo, his season obviously did not end well. Not only did Notre Dame get blown out in the national title game, but he also performed very poorly in that game. That being said, with the season he had, he won nearly 10 awards, finished second in Heisman voting, and was one of the best players in the nation that helped lead Notre Dame back, and is a likely top 10, if not top 5, NFL draft pick coming up. It's been a crazy, exciting year for Manti T'eo, coming off a year where he said that his girlfriend and grandmother both died on the same day, and that's something he came back from, and it was a story that propelled him and got a lot of people on his side. And the reason I'm kind of talking in this tone and not a little bit more of a somber tone is because Deadspin.com, the best sports website out there, I think, besides the one I work on, h4-entertainment.com, Deadspin, they get all the like this isn't a story that's a relevant news story because no one knew about it. But Deadspin goes in, they do their homework, and they find stories like this, which is why I'd much rather go on this website than go on any other sports website, because they're going to give you real news and they're going to give you drama that isn't a made-up story. This is something that appears to be true. Now, what we know, according to this Deadspin article, is that Manti T'eo's grandmother, she did die. But then, he also said his girlfriend died of leukemia, and according to this article, there are no records of his girlfriend ever dying, no records of his girlfriend ever going to Stanford, where there were rumors that they met after a Notre Dame-Stanford game, and to top that all off, there's no records that this girl ever even existed. So it leaves a lot of questions wide open that this article, which I'll leave in the description, answers. What we have found out since then, and if you read on in the article, I'm basically going to summarize it and then give my thoughts, is that he basically created this story. And this is something it says in the article. It says, T'eo's story moved beyond the world of sports. On the day of the national title game between Notre Dame and Alabama, CBS This Morning ran a 3-minute story that featured a direct quote from Lennay Kekua, I hope I'm saying that right, and I probably won't be able to say it in that pronunciation again, but reportedly she said this when she was very sick. She said, "Babe, if anything happens to me, you promise that you'll stay there," which would be Notre Dame, "and you'll play and you'll honor me through the way you play." It's a very touching story, and that's one of the reasons so many people got behind Manti T'eo this year. And our college football analyst, Nate Sarmer, even said that when people were thinking that he had a better year than Johnny Manziel, that maybe people got behind this story a little bit too much. So I continue to look through this and do my homework, because I'm not going to come on here and just read off that Deadspin had this. I'm going to be able to give my thoughts. And apparently, throughout this entire time, when that news clip was shown, it was shown with a picture of his girlfriend, who obviously they said ended up passing away, which was a very touching story. If she's not real, then there's a lot of questions about whose picture were they showing this entire time, whose picture had been used on her Twitter cover photo, I believe it was, that had one of her pictures. And they did some research, and they found out that it was another woman. Now, they don't say this woman's exact name. They call her Reba in the article, and they said that she wanted her identity protected and did not want people to know who she was, because this is a very high-profile story. And basically, she said that she was just horrified to know that she had become the face of a woman that America believed was dead, and she had absolutely nothing to do with this. The article that drives this home and really makes you think that, damn, Manti T'eo basically made all this up. I mean, obviously his grandmother still died, and that in and of itself, that's a very sad thing to go through. But that happens to people. You don't hear about people's grandmother and girlfriend dying. You don't hear about most people's girlfriend dying. That alone is very sad. But when you hear about the grandmother and girlfriend reportedly dying within 6 hours of each other, it's very sad. But what's really sad is that, I'll read this article, or this paragraph, Manti T'eo's, it didn't happen. This is the article that drives it home. It says, there was no Lennay Kekua. Lennay Kekua did not meet Manti T'eo after the Stanford game in 2009. Kekua did not attend Stanford. She never visited Manti T'eo in Hawaii. Kekua was not in a car accident, which was something that reportedly she was in a bad car accident, and then I believe she had leukemia afterwards. Kekua did not talk to Manti T'eo every night on the telephone, which is one of the things they talk about in the article, is that these two supposedly formed a close relationship, and they had met over Twitter, I believe. She was not diagnosed with cancer. She did not spend time in the hospital, did not engage in a lengthy battle with leukemia. She never had a bone marrow transplant. She was not released from the hospital on September 10th. And let me just stop there before I read the rest. If she's not released from the hospital and there's no records of that, even if something had screwed up where her death wasn't properly documented, if there's not even documents of her being in the hospital, then there's no way this story can be true. So continuing on in the paragraph, nor did Brian T'eo congratulate her for this over the telephone. She did not insist that Manti T'eo play in the Michigan State or Michigan games, and she did not request he send white flowers to her funeral. Her favorite color was not white. Her brother Koa did not inform Manti T'eo that she was dead. Koa did not exist either. Her funeral did not take place in Carson, California, and her casket was not closed at approximately 9 a.m. She was not laid to rest, obviously, because she did not exist. It's a sad story because we all got behind Manti T'eo. I really am not much of a Notre Dame guy. I'll just leave it at that. But I liked Manti T'eo because of how he played and the leadership he exemplified, but because this was a touching story. And to find out that this isn't even true, it's just like, how can you go to these lengths to think of something like this? So it's just one of those things that came out of nowhere, but it's amazing. It's a great catch by Deadspin, but it's sad that we've come to this point where people do things like this and make up these type of stories. So the one thing that's still in the back of my head is, what if somehow Deadspin got this wrong and Manti T'eo's girlfriend did exist? Because then Manti T'eo is still in the grieving process. I mean, you don't just get over that. He's still in the grieving process of that, and then to have this happen, if it really did happen, it would just be killer. Because he's not in the season, so he has like nothing in the next month or so to get him through things. Obviously, he's the NFL draft coming up soon, but you know, I don't even know what to say. Manti T'eo, we all got behind him, and I hope that this story isn't true, but it appears that he made up this story. I still feel extremely bad that his grandmother died. You don't feel good about that for anyone, but if he really made this up, then any respect that I had for Manti T'eo as a person and as this story that we got behind, it's all gone. It really is, and it's sad that this has happened and that we've come to this point that people do things like this. And you know, he had us all fooled. Apparently, some of these media companies had an inkling in late November, early December that something like this was up and that nothing's been able to come out because they were piecing all the details together. But props to Deadspin for this article, and Manti T'eo, you have some explaining to do. This is The Real Sports Talk. I'm Tim Kelly. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.